Hi crafters, this is Paulette. We are going to talk about making some corn bags that you heat in the microwave, and they're just a really nice winter gift. I told my mom this year is going to be a corn bag Christmas because we are so broke. And she said, you know what, that's okay, because with her it's the thought that counts, and if you made something, that's extra special. Well, I hate corn bag Christmases, but that's just the way it is this year. We're paying off our debt, and the economy is horrible in the United States, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon. Gas is coming down, but things at the store are still pretty high. So, you can get a bag of whole cleaned corn. This was a 50-pound bag, and it was $12.99. Plus tax, it was $13.99. You can get quite a few corn bags out of that 50-pound bag. So I bring it home and I put it in my colanders. I have several colanders, and I just go and I fill them up, and I bring them to the kitchen sink, and I shower them off really good. Even though it's clean corn, it's still a little bit dusty, and it still has a little bit of trash in it, not much, but this will cut down on any allergies, and the smell. It is a grain. So rinse it off really good. I've got this in another pan so it could drain out really good. And then I dump it on a big towel and spread it out here. And that way I can go through it and see and pick out anything that doesn't look desirable. I take out all these pieces that have this little black spot, and I don't know if that means anything, but it just doesn't look very desirable to me. And the majority of the pieces, you will notice, don't have it. It may just be where this little toot got knocked off, but I don't like that, so it's going to be one of my throwaway pieces. Go through, sometimes there are little pieces of stalk in here, cracked or shriveled up pieces, anything that just doesn't look quite good. Because a lot of these are fairly clean looking. Here's a bunch of trash that I've picked out. Here's some corn stalk, corn husk. So just get rid of all that. Dry it off fairly good. I lay another towel on here and really smoosh this around. And then I dump it into my bowl that I can scoop it out of. Here is a very old corn bag, and you can tell by look at the dirt on this. It has been well used and well loved. But this year, I needed something just fast. Excuse me. So I am doing blue jean legs. And typically, I like to really stitch around the edges like this. I like to do where you stitch it and turn it wrong side out and then fill it and then stitch all the way around the perimeter again. This one was a really nice one that I made for my husband last year. And I went ahead and seamed up one end, and then I filled it in sections and stitched it and filled a section and stitched it and filled a section and stitched it, and this is really nice. If you have back problems, you can heat this up and just lay on it in your bed. Or you can use them to heat your feet, use them to heat your spot in bed. They're really nice. And the thing about the corn is it really holds the heat. And then you can mush the bag around. If it cools off a little bit, you can mush the bag around and get more heat out of it because it just really holds the heat. Now this is the side seam of the leg. And I turned it an opposite way so it wasn't on the edge. And you could use it either side, either way. Now for these super long ones, you have to fold them in half and put them in the microwave this way. I think the small bags We used to say 30 seconds, but mine are so big and they're so full of corn. This probably has 6-7 cups of corn alone in it. And it takes a couple of minutes. 2 minutes will heat this up really nice. You can wrap them in a hand towel and take them to bed with you, and they're just very comforting when you're not feeling good. Now, don't throw away the top of your jeans. You can't use the top of your jeans. Now, this one doesn't have any brads on it, but I saved the top of them, and you can make these nice little bags. Make a little tie to go around the waist. This one is full of hair stuff. All of my permanent things, permanent rollers, plastic gloves. It's my hair bag. But that's a really nice way to give your corn bags in something like that. So let's talk a little bit about this. I decided to do the jean legs this time just because there's 2 seams already done for me. All I have to do are the ends and then any stitching in between. Now some of these were my daughter's, and they had holes in the legs. So if you just come in here, I put another piece behind, and I even had some little scraps that I just sewed together to get a big piece that would fit back here because I'm using all my scraps. And I thought the teenagers in my family might really enjoy these with the big holes in them. So if you just come in here and straight stitch around this hole, this will not unravel any further. It will not unravel past your straight stitch sewing. So that's what I do. And then I come in here, and whatever's left over, I take the pinking shears and pink the rest of this on the inside. It doesn't really matter because this will not be washed. So you don't really have to do that. I just do it because it's a habit. And for these little holes, the same thing. I've got a scrap back here, and I will very simply straight stitch around this. That will keep that from unraveling and keep the corn from falling out. We had a rip down here on the edge, or probably that's where she cut them. It was on the bottom. So I'm stitching a piece in there as well. Now I could have just cut that off and made that a shorter one, but I'm really liking these long ones with the sections because they'll heat your bed, or you can lay on them, and they're really cool. So use what you have. Some of them are kind of an odd shape, and I don't think it matters. They're just pretty fun and pretty cool. Now here's one that I've already gone ahead and stitched. Here's my opening where I can put in the corn. I turn these wrong side out first and do 1 stitch across the bottom here. And then do a little bit here. You've got to leave a pretty good opening. Leave yourself a pretty good size opening so you can pour the corn in. I like to use a measuring cup and pour the corn in over the bowl. And that works really good. And then you can just let it pile up down here. Just keep going till you get enough. This one is long enough that I will either do a stitch right here in the middle, or I will make a three section and stitch. And then once it's filled, just come out here. I do a really close stitch, about 1/8 of an inch from here, straight stitch. And then I do another top stitch about 1/4 inch. And that just ensures, see, here's one. Now this doesn't look very pretty because I ran out of thread and had to use a different color, but you know, it's just okay. Heat these for a minute or 2. You need to be sure when you're done making them, you have to cook them in the microwave before you give them as gifts. If you do not cook them, they will hatch out weevils in the spring, and whoever you gave them to, the weevils will eat their clothes. They will eat out of the bag, and they eat their clothes wherever they have stored their corn bag. How do we know this? my father did not use his the first year I made them, and the weevils hatched out in his closet and ate some of his clothes. So be sure and cook them. And let's see. Here's one. It's one of those little weird shape, but they're just really cool. And fill them kind of loose. That way you can smush them around and get the hot corn back to the outside. What else have we got? I think we already talked about the long ones. Here's a really nice long one. You'll fold these in half to heat them in the microwave. And it did take about 2 minutes on these. Maybe 45 seconds to a minute on your big ones. You'll just have to test them. Here is one that is kind of a long piece. And I didn't do any stitching in here. I kind of like the looseness of some of the corn bags. So after you make a few, you'll decide what you like and what you don't like. So anyway, pretty cool. You know what would have been really fun? I should have stamped on these. I could have stamped on these with some acrylic paint or even some Stays-On ink. I don't know how the Stays-On ink would react in the microwave though, so you might want to investigate that. But you could do acrylic paint with the fabric sponges and sponge on these. I could have done some really cute little something, but I wanted them to be gender neutral. That way I could give them to man or woman, adult or teenagers. And so this works out pretty good for me. So if you have any questions, be sure and let me know. Some other things, other really good fabrics would be polar fleece. That would make a really nice cozy one. Flannel. The ones I made out of flannel, it seemed a little bit thin, so you may want to do 2 layers of fabric. It wouldn't necessarily have to be 2 layers of flannel, but it could be like a layer of cotton and then a layer of flannel on the outside. You could do regular cotton fabrics. Sheets would be wonderful. You can pick up sheets on sale in cute patterns and fabrics sometimes. And so any of these fabrics would work really well. If I make any with the cotton or any of these things here, the flannel, the cotton, or sheets fabric, I would do a double layer. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this craft, and I will talk to you soon.